Japan was created by a god who reached down from the sky and dipped a spear into the ocean. As he drew the spear back up, drops of water fell from the sky and became the Japanese island. It is the beginning of the 6th century CE in the Japanese lowlands, near modern-day Kyoto. The cherry blossoms have recently bloomed and their beauty permeates the surrounding garden in Prince Shotoku's palace. Prince Shotoku is having tea in his garden discussing the early history of Japan with famous Japanese Buddhist monk Nikken Abe, Oda Hanso, the head of the Hanso clan, and everybody's favorite reporter, Horace Greeley. The conversation seems to tense between the prince and the clan leader. Our man in the field, Horace Greeley, has finally managed to meet with these influential leaders to discuss the early history of Japan. Let's listen in to see what they have to say.
Thank you very much, Prince Shotoku, for hosting us in your beautiful garden. You are most welcome. I appreciate having conversation with such influential men as these. Distinguished gentlemen, we are here today to discuss the early history of the land of the rising sun and the land that you call home, Japan. As you may or may not know, I'm filming a show and writing a book, and I want to include in it all the subtle details of Japan's rich past. Mr. Hanzo, would you mind discussing the earliest years of Japanese culture for me?
Of course. At first, there were two cultures living on the islands. On Hokkaido were the Ainu, who we believe came from some part of the Asian mainland, perhaps Siberia. On Honshu lived the first Japanese, my direct ancestors.
What were these first Japanese, your ancestors, like?
Mostly, they were humble farmers who lived in small villages. The villages were ruled by uji, or clans of extended families. People grew rice and other crops. Some of the wealthy owned slaves and lived in houses with wooden floors and roofs. The poor lived in huts with dirt floors. The villagers obeyed and respected the members of the clans, especially the clan chief.
What were the responsibilities of the clan chiefs?
The clan chief myself, I know exactly what they had to do. They were in charge of protecting the villagers. That means making treaties fighting with rival clans. They also had religious duties because every follower of the traditional Japanese religion, Shinto, believes that their clan chiefs descended from spirits of nature known as kami.
I'm sure that many of my viewers and readers would like to know more about kami. Can you please explain in more detail?
Yes, this will be fascinating for all of us to hear. As a Buddhist monk, I try to learn as much as possible.
There's nothing to it, really. Shintoists believe that everything in nature has a spirit, or kami. Animals, trees, waterfalls, and of course, the most powerful kami of all, the sun. These kami help people live and prevent them from harm.
Funny you should mention your clan. I was just going to ask about the relationship between the clans and the emperor. I'm detecting a bit of bitterness. Did you have something to add here, Prince Shotoku? I'm not bitter, Mr. Greeley, but I just think you should hear the full story. Now, what do you mean by that? I only mean that about 100 years ago, the leaders of the clans proclaimed themselves emperors of Japan, even though they didn't rule over all of Japan. I am actually part of the Yamato clan. I descend from the Soga family of the Yamato clan.
Yes, at first, many of the clan chiefs, including my own, proclaimed themselves to be rulers of all of Japan. However, we really only ruled the territory that belonged to us. Over time, one clan began to rule much more territory than the other clans. This was the Yamato clan. The first real emperors of Japan were members of the Yamato clan.
I must say, I, for one, am very happy that Prince Shotoku is ruling as regent in his aunt's place.
Why is that, Mr. Abe? Can you explain to us what a regent is?
Of course, a regent is someone who rules in place of another person who is unable to rule. And might I add that it is very well known that the good prince here wanted to expand and broaden Japanese culture. He brought in officials from China and Korea. With those officials came religious leaders as well.
Oh, I see. Because Prince Shotoku brought in political advisors and officials from China and Korea, they brought their religion with them as well.
Well, yes and no. He brought in government officials, but he also brought in religious leaders separately. Not only did they bring political ideas such as Confucianism with them, but Buddhism came as well. That is why I am here today. Our good prince is a devout Buddhist, and he built many great Buddhist temples.
Now I understand why Japan adopted Confucianism and Buddhism. What other influences besides politics and religion did China and Korea provide?
Probably one of the most important influences was language. I don't mean that everyone started speaking Chinese. That would be crazy. But we did start to use Chinese written language, although we still spoke Japanese.
There were other changes that the prince tried to make as well.
I believe that my esteemed colleague is referring to the fact that I tried to increase the power of the emperor, much like it is in China.
Luckily, myself and the other clan leaders opposed his plan because we don't want one single person to have all the power in Japan's government.
So you mean to tell me that even though Japan has an emperor, he really isn't all that powerful?
Yes, my plan to give full power to the emperor, like the government in China, failed. The emperor became more like a figurehead, meaning he was an emperor in name, but the real power of Japan was still with the leaders of the clans because they had absolute control over the land they lived on.
What do you think is next for this beautiful history in the land of the rising sun?
I will field this question, gentlemen. Although the Emperor of Japan is but a figurehead, I am still very powerful and extremely influential, and many of the wealthy people of the land wish to curry my favor, meaning they want to honor me and be part of the everyday happenings of the Japanese court. More and more of these wealthy people are moving to the capital to be part of the action. With them, they bring many beautiful arts and crafts. I foresee an awakening of beautiful arts and literature cropping up around the capital.
I want to end this lovely conversation by thanking each of my guests. I am sure that our viewers at home will enjoy hearing about the early history of the land of the rising sun. Until next time, I'm Horace Greeley.